lot of red in the mouth, obviously, and we don't want the teeth to look like lipstick smeared, and so we're definitely going to get some yellow here. Really we need a gray, like we did in the eyes. So that comes from the blue, and almost greenish really, not very appetizing, but it's going to help us keep each tooth from looking like it's smeared with lipstick. We treat each tooth individually. It's lighter towards the center. We'll start back here and outline the tooth against the wet paint. Okay, that's good, but it's still not yellow enough to combat the red. So it's a very confined area, and I push it up against the wet of the gum line, and then the wet, the tone behind. Now there I picked some up and brushed it onto the tooth, so I'm going to repair that. Push back down. Alright, we got one tooth. Keep going. I don't really want to fill it in completely, but the area there was so confined. But if it does, it's okay. The main thing is the outer edge of each tooth up against the gum, and then down here against the tone behind the tooth, which is really tongue showing there. Well, I managed to leave a little light speck in that one, and we're coming more towards the center. Can go lighter, that's okay, as we get through the middle of the mouth. Same thing. And remember, each tooth has its own unique shape. That's also the angle we're looking at the tooth. We may see only part of it, one side of it. Okay, that's good. Because after this, we'll only have to deal with the centers of each tooth. We don't have to touch the wet paint around. I think we can now, well, before I get too light, I may need to go back to the left side here and work my way in. I'll just have to fill in this little tooth here almost completely. Now I'm going to the next one. Up there into the gum, and now up against it. There. Got to be careful I don't turn things purple by picking up the dark interior of the mouth and spilling it onto the tooth. Yeah. I did pick up some of it, but I'll fix that in a while. Alright, now we've got the center two teeth on this side, and still have this one here. This is very light. I think I can go quite light in preparing these front three teeth. So up against the gum line, and then brushing up against the paint behind the tooth without pulling any of it onto the tooth. I can see my brush when I put it back into the palette that it's picking up wet paint, but it's blending with it too, which is nice to do. Okay. And I'll just go on to the next tooth. Make sure I get yellow in there so I don't turn things. Picking up red. Okay, it's better there. Yeah, it's better there. Alright, up into the gum line. And brush with the gum line a little bit, blend it together. Now, got too much red there. Force the yellow in there. There we go. And maybe a little lighter. Okay. And this last upper tooth up against the gum line, into the gum line, and down around. And I'm gonna go over to the other tooth, just right over, to try to minimize the distinction between the two teeth. You don't want to, create a gap. So it's just a very light, faint line that. Okay, well, we'll have to clean up her teeth here pretty soon, but we got them basically in there. I want to do the same for the bottom teeth. Very dark, bluish gray almost. Okay, so we have the two center teeth, this one here at the bottom, and then we've got one going out here, corner of the mouth, just a very hint of some. So we'll make them almost fade into the mouth, and then we bring them back out with highlight. Alright, so we've got this center one here, and over to the next tooth. To make sure I keep yellow in there. Combat that red. Okay, now I can come back and clean up the teeth. I think I'll clear myself some non-red spot right here. Do some pearly whites, a hint of yellow. Combat that reddish tint. Alright, now let's concentrate on the center tooth. Don't want to touch any of that red. So we're just working in the center of the tooth and blending outwards to the yellowish gray we prepared, taking it in and blending with it as we lighten the tooth. But we don't want to come out to the edges and grab bad paint like red. So we can give each tooth just a preliminary brushing. We'll come back and work it some more. And also shape a little bit the tooth. Picking up some of that stray red. So you can see we work wet on wet, wet paint onto wet paint. And now there's a little bit of this tooth right here. And maybe a touch in the back, just a little bit hint there. Okay, we're still cleaning up the teeth. Just a little bit on each tooth. In between the teeth so they don't look like there are gaps. Okay, I'm going to continue whitening the teeth, the rest of them. We'll come back, work some more on them. So brush in the center, work outwards on each tooth, blending with the earlier grayish tone. Between the two of them, the two tones, the tooth will get the tooth shape and the line in between the teeth minimized. Teeth contribute a lot to the character of the mouth. Careful not to touch any red. Of course, relative size of each tooth, they're a little smaller or there's less of it showing towards the corner of the mouth. Now we'll do some more work on the center too. Now each tooth is going to have a light area on it. It's not all that obvious. There's moisture on them. You can see I'm doing it higher up on the tooth, each tooth. Correct the shape there of that tooth a little bit. Dabbing the paint on and brushing away the indication of brush strokes. We keep refining and working these teeth and the lines between them.